Hey guys, welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee, joined by my co-host, Zeke Smith.
What's up, Jason?
Great to see you this morning.
You too, brother.
We are joined by the man in black himself, Mr. Michael Richter, President and CEO of the Association of Builders and Contractors in Houston and CMEF. And we've had you here in a number of different fronts. I think this is our first time as both.
Yep.
Right, so wearing two hats, out there making a huge impact. And again, glad to have you today. Michael, thanks for joining us. And I know today we're going to talk a little bit about really kind of what you're serving in both roles, the activity that takes place in CMEF and kind of its value add, and then what the benefits are of Association of Builders and Contractors, the impact that you guys are making, and maybe some of the things. I'd love to talk a little bit about some of the objectives as we head out to Washington this upcoming week. I'm sure they'll be getting this episode after that, but what is it that people are focused on when it comes to the construction space when we actually head out to Washington? So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So before we dive in, though, just a refresher for those who perhaps haven't never seen the or seen you in an episode, give us a kind of a backdrop, who you are, the roles that you're serving in, what you're doing these days.
Okay. My name is Michael Richter, and I've been around for a while. I grew up here in Houston, been to California for about 15 years. And I have a background in contracting and higher education, and those two kind of merged about 10 years ago when I came on board with the foundation, which is the Construction and Maintenance Education Foundation, which is down the road here in LaPorte. I got a huge passion for education when it comes to the vocational trades because of my background. And I mean, coming from a time where I would teach other people myself, and my dad would teach me, and now I get to teach, I'm part of the teaching. Sure. I don't teach, but I'm part of the teaching of our current skilled craft workforce and upskilling them. So very passionate about that. When it comes to ABC, I'm very passionate about contractors getting a fair share, getting treated fairly in the business, and being treated based on merit, based on who they are and how safe they are, and what they can do, what they can bring to the table for the industry, and basically for their people and for their workforce. So those two combined, I feel very, very blessed to be in this role. I've been very happy with it. It's a very busy role because I'm doing two things now versus doing one before. But I don't mind at all, and I love the challenge. I welcome the challenge, and I look forward to the future.
Double the pay, right?
Huh?
Double the pay?
Huh? Again?
He's like, I didn't hear that. I didn't get that right.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that memo.
Michael, you're being modest, but if for those that don't know, you were a pretty accomplished young certified craft worker here in the state of Texas. Will you share that brief story? I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. When I was 13 years old, my dad was a craftsman and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and so we struggled financially. And we had three other siblings, so it was 4 kids in our family. And so going to high school, it was kind of a challenge for me to wear the really, really not so quality clothing. So I said, I'm gonna go make my own money. And so I went and worked for a family friend who was a plumber at 13 years old, and I dug ditches and I broke concrete and did what I was told. But all the while, I had like a thirst for knowledge of what he was doing and why he was doing it and how it made sense. And so this guy was one of my first mentors outside of my dad and my grandfather's. Cool. And he saw that I actually wanted to learn. I wasn't there for the $5 an hour to get the nice Cavaricci pants. I don't know if anybody remembers.
Oh, absolutely.
So he helped me, he mentored me, and at 16 years old, when I hit the three-year mark and had the hours, I did go to school. I worked during summer vacations, winter breaks, spring breaks, holidays, and weekends. So I went to Austin to the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners, took my test for the journeyman license and got it. And then I continued on for another year at 17 years old. And I was told, hey, you got 1 year of a German license. You can go back and get your master's if you want and test for that. So I went back to Austin, did a 2-day test. And I was the youngest 17-year-old master licensed plumber in the state of Texas, I believe still to this day. And then 2 years later, I lost interest and moved on to general contracting. So,
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, pretty cool story, right?
Yeah. I bet it's crazy, too, knowing that we have a massive shortage for master plumbers in the world today. And we're going to talk about that with workforce development, such a shortage of craft laborers. And here you are, however many years later, doing your best to try to go out and fill those shoes. It's just amazing to hear that story. So,
I remember the passion. The passion. It started off just wanting some money, just make a few bucks. And it ended up being, how does this work? Please teach me. Please teach me.
So talk to us about the critical nature of workforce development and its role and its importance here in the great state of Texas.
I think if anybody takes a look around and sees what's happening around any major city and all the growth, that's a good thing. It's good for the economy. It's good for what we do. Every building you go into, every house you go into, every grocery store was built by somebody,
Right.
built by hand. There was a hands-on aspect of all of that. There's never an end to that. Even if there was an end to population growth, there's still going to be older houses, older developments that are aging
Refresh,
out, need to be
Right.
refurbished or torn down. So construction is going to be a constant process. So with the growth on top of that, we have to make sure we have the workforce to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can argue that maybe we do, or maybe we're doing good enough, but maybe not. I would say maybe not, because there's a lot of people that are going to retire out.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the pipeline look like on the front end? How are we doing to maintain, at minimum, maintain the current workforce? We always want to build it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I see it as kind of getting to the critical nature right now, if you really look at everything, to continue with the growth that we want and what is projected.
Right.
So we have to make sure we cover all of our grounds on the front end of the pipeline. But let's not forget, I talk about the retirees and the front end, but let's not forget the middle class. The middle class of where they are on the spectrum. How can we upskill those guys and gals and get them better at what they're doing and help them with their lives and their careers and help them with their families?
Wow. Lots of work.
Lots of work.
Yeah. And so, and then CMEF, how does that organization go about filling some of these gaps? And then, how's it funded? I mean, how is it, what's the role that it plays kind of in concert with Association of Builders and Contractors?
The foundation, it's funny, if you ask a lot of people who are semi-familiar, they say, what is CMEF? And they say one word every time. Drives me nuts. They say, oh, training. You need somebody to go training? That's CMEF. That's a small piece.
Mm.
It's workforce development. So training is a piece of that, but what's the rest of that story? The rest of that story is the pipeline, back to the pipeline. So I'll start with high schools.
Okay.
CMEF is currently in 44 high schools in 23 independent school districts around the greater Houston area.
Wow.
We sponsor their NCCR program, which is the National Center for Construction Education and Research. And it is a accredited program. It's a recognized program nationally where you can get credentials that are portable and stackable. So we are in these high schools for these kids that have an interest in it, as I did when I was in high school,
Right.
to get them started very, very early. So when they're graduating, some of these young folks already have a job lined up.
Nice.
And so we are there to not only sponsor their programs, but to promote the industry. So partnership is a big thing for us. So when we partner with big contractors or even big owners, we welcome them to come to the high schools and talk to these kids.
Nice.
Because one thing for me to talk to these kids, I don't think that does much. But they can talk to the future employers, the ones that have been around for a while, and see that there is a future, a very lucrative income in their future. That's a big part. So those partnerships, not just the training that goes on in the high schools, but the developing those partnerships early on. And then we try to guide these kids in the right direction so they can get jobs. And I will say, incidentally, we're so proud of our program that every single year, ABC has a national craft competition. Sometimes in Florida, last year was this last time was in Vegas.
Right.
We usually send at least 2, if we can, maybe 3 high school students to that. And they're so young, they're 17, we got to send them with a chaperone.
Right.
But we get them lined up, and I've lost count how many years we come back with a gold medal or higher for them in their craft competition.
That's so cool.
Competing against professionals in the trade. Like these are students that are competing. They're that good. Yeah.
Like welding and things like that.
Pretty remarkable. Yeah.
That's
pipe fitting.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pipe fitting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Competing against, like Zeke said, it's not just other high school students. They're competing against people that have been doing this for 20, 30 years.
Sometimes, yeah.
Everybody sends the best of the best
Pretty remarkable.
to this competition.
Really?
We send a high school student come back with gold.
Really? Wow.
So we are very, very happy and proud of these kids for what they're doing. It's a very productive thing to do. It's a good pipeline to have. The problem, the challenge I see in that area is when we try to connect them with employers, too many times employers want somebody that has that 10 years experience with it.
Right.
You can have the credentials of NCCR, maybe 1 or 2 down, but where's that 10 years of experience? So we're working that out. We're working that out. It's been a work in progress, and I think that the message is getting out there.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know organizations are looking for that, but then again, there's a shortage of people. What's the bridge so that we, for the layman that's out there to better understand that? What's the bridge between somebody who's coming out of school and then how do apprenticeship programs work? I mean, apprenticeship is almost like internship, but right, they're getting paid. Mm-hmm. What type of programs exist for that? Is that something that's commonplace, or is there a bridge for that? Is there a way to kind of help accelerate that so maybe more companies see that as an opportunity?
Yeah, there's a bridge to that. One of the bridges we have is our CCY committee, which is a Construction Careers Youth Committee.
Okay.
And this is, again, a committee formed of contractors who basically get it and are going to help along the way. We'll have hiring days if we need to. We'll specifically assign a student to go meet with a certain employer, and that'll put them on a path with that employer. And so that committee is not there just to help us in our sponsorship of programs, but also to help launch these careers. Now, if they don't have a place, they'll know somebody.
Nice.
That's a great thing about ABC. I mean, we've got hundreds of members, and 60% of them are contractors. So we have that network there. So that's a good bridge there. There's other programs that we are looking at, but we got to make sure that the employers are on board.
Yeah. How many apprenticeships do you guys have now that you're under roof at CMEF?
Now we're talking about Department of Labor approved. It is 18 right now.
That's right.
18. You go to our website, it has a whole list. Now, when you mentioned apprenticeships, I was going to get to that. There's the approved apprenticeship programs, and then there's training. Craft training is training, and then their apprenticeship it's kind of a different model, but it's still training.
Yeah.
They're getting paid and they're working well. It's OJT and all those things.
Right.
But we do both of those things.
Wow. Okay.
For 35 years, we've done basically just craft training. Now, a few years ago, when the IRA started bubbling up, then it was a simple thing. We have a great relationship with the Department of Labor.
Right.
So just like that, 18 approved programs, and now we've got a lot of contractors out there that are utilizing CMEF, not just locally, but remotely as well.
Understood. Okay.
And you mentioned NCCR. Is it still correct that you guys are the number one user of their curriculum, or
we are the top utilizer of NCCR testing and training programs in the country.
So the most people are getting credentialed and tested out through CMEF here in Houston in the whole country. NCCR is a nationwide organization. Wow. So pretty impressive.
And I'll tell you how that goes, because we're talking about workforce development in the different buckets, is we also have partnerships, not with just high schools, but with all the local community colleges. Right. And even though they may not be a CMEF student that comes through our office through registration, the young men and women that are getting trained in these programs at the local community colleges are doing so under our sponsorship. So that adds to the whole pool of the NCCR utilization.
Awesome.
So CMEF, fantastic arm of the Association of Builders and Contractors. The reason why there's so much overlap with the Economic Alliance and what it is that we do is workforce development is a critical pillar for the entire region. And these industries overlap. A lot of the work, Association of Builders and Contractors is one of the few organizations that supports the industrial contractors, which is who we speak into and who we serve, the folks that are going behind the gates. And so really critical to share that. Now, let's pivot for a minute, talk a little bit about ABC. Really, the role of that organization, it's very similar to the Alliance, but more specific to contractors. And I think it'd be great for us to talk a little bit about the legislative work that's going on in this upcoming week, and really the way that that's being championed. And then also, I think we'd be remiss. June is National Male Mental Health Month, right? And so I think my partner here has a passion and a heart for individuals that struggle with that, and I know that ABC has a heart for the mental awareness with the construction industry having so much high stress and stuff like that. So maybe we could even pivot and talk a little bit about that.
I would love to talk about that.
So let's first of all start with ABC high level, right? Mm-hmm. So we know CMEF, they focus on workforce development. What are the other buckets that ABC covers?
Well, in a nutshell, without reading a mission statement, ABC is all about free and open, fair competition.
Yeah,
that's it. It's really, really that simple.
Yeah,
based on merit. Based on merit, it's a merit shop philosophy. Well, that word merit, what does that mean? Well, you got to have merit in order to go in there and expect the fair treatment and be chosen because you're based on merit. Well, ABC is all about four major things. We've talked about workforce development already. There's safety. Safety is a big, big thing with ABC. Mm-hmm. To me, it's a moral responsibility of everybody, whether it's on the job site or home or while you're driving or whatever. Safety is a huge, huge component. And then there's the political aspect. You talk about going to D.C. next week and all the work behind the scenes. I did not realize, years ago as a small contractor, I did not realize how politics affects business. Fast forward to now, wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
huge.
wow. It's huge. And then the fourth bucket is what we all have interest in is business development.
Right.
Mingling with like-minded people, gathering some more business, earning more business, and making those connections. So if you go down each one of those, our safety programs are top notch. We have a program called STEP, which is the Safety Training Evaluation Program. We just call it STEP now.
Right.
You get involved in that program. It's very easy for contractors to get in there, but it shows how safe we are, not only with all of us as association collectively, but you individually as contractors. And what does that do? Go back to merit. We want to be fair and get chosen based on merit. That's one thing. I'm safe. Look at my record. Look at my incident record.
Right.
Look what I have. I have this with ABC. I'm with like-minded people. I'm always striving to be better at safety. Politics, things are done better in big groups of voices.
Right.
And you guys know in the political field, it's all about the voices.
Right.
Voices and T-shirts, pickets, whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's get the message across. So it affects business. Sometimes it affects you. It's going to affect the next guy and the next guy and go down the road. So we got to collectively fight together things that would be damaging to our industry. And then last but not least, the business development aspect. Tons of events all through the year. You may not like barbecue, you may not like golfing, you may not like clay shooting, but there's probably something along the way.
That's right.
throughout the year at ABC that you might
figure out a way.
Yeah, you might have an
Gambling.
interest in.
There's definitely a way.
Yeah, and then you show up and you see
Yeah.
all these other members that are on the same page
Yeah.
and have the same values and principles that you have, and it's a great association.
I love it. Absolutely. Met some of my favorite relationships in the world have come from the organization. So I'm very confident.
That's
in that.
fantastic.
Very thankful for that. Zeke, any ads, anything?
Yeah, well, I was going to say it's, and Michael knows this, but for me, one thing that stood out, there's tons of trade organizations, certainly in this area and in Texas. One thing about ABC that stands out, it's the only one that's actually based on values, not just the members and what they do. It's not just a contractor association. It's a contractor association based on that merit shop philosophy. Certain people say anti-union, not necessarily true. There's several members, ourselves included, that are double-breasted, so have a union operation. It's just more of don't exclude non-union contractors from the opportunity to get work because they're non-union contractors.
Right.
So it's more of, hey, if a union contractor beats out an ABC member fair and square, great. You know what? Because they earned the work.
Right.
Not because there's a piece of legislation that excludes them from gaining that work. And that's really what ABC's work is. They do a lot of work in the state capitol, which I've been to a couple of times. There's an awesome event, and certainly next week in DC, just meeting with our legislators and just advocating on behalf of the industry, certainly our area, the region. I know Economic Alliance does a great trip as well. Yeah. So these two organizations going in different times and talking to these same leaders is really powerful. Really powerful. So.
Just seeing the agenda, right? I'm actually heading up to Washington this week with you guys, and the opportunity to see the agenda and understanding what matters, because my clients, their success, my success is built on their success.
Yeah, sure.
And so knowing and understanding the fight and the things that need to be taking place. And I love what you said about merit and how critical it is, because again, to your point, I've got clients that are union and I have clients that are not union. Yeah. But it's not to say one's better or worse than the other, but it is to say, hey, we should all get a fair shot at the job.
Correct.
And how that should be measured is by safety, performance, past performance,
pricing,
what
manpower.
You guys do a fantastic job of. I've been to many of the awards ceremonies. Is making sure that you acknowledge, recognize, publish, those individuals that are out there championing it. The best safety records and all the stuff that takes place behind the scenes. So,
that's right.
You guys are absolutely the voice for it. And so as we kind of gear up to wrap up, Michael, I want to make sure we exit, because again, this is not on the agenda, but it was on my heart this morning because I was just reading some data about mental health, and specifically males' mental health. Yep. But we are, construction, let's just say, call it for what it is. It's a predominantly male industry. A lot of guys in the field are male. And then at the same time, it's actually challenged quite a bit with suicide and mental health and mental awareness. And I know my partner has a huge passion for that. Yep. So just want to call that out. So where does that fit in ABC's agenda and their role and the things that they're being cognizant of? And what have you seen over the years in regards to, because it sounds like you've been here for a while, how is the industry evolving, in your opinion, from what you've seen, to bring awareness to this and to do something about it?
I would say going way back, it didn't get the attention it deserved at all.
Yeah.
I think it was something we just kind of turned away and didn't think about. I think people were a little bit, very hesitant to come forward with any kind of issue whatsoever, because it meant they were weak.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. When it comes to ABC and the awareness, it's mainly because of that guy right there being such a strong proponent of this and bring it to our attention. I think we needed it. It was a jolt that we needed.
Love it.
And he's been fantastic at being willing to talk about it, to talk to our members about it. He's even gone to our campus in CMEF and talked to our students about it on two occasions now. And everybody gathered from that. I had instructors that were hesitant to sit in his seminar because of the same reason. They thought it meant they were weak. Right. And they left and they wanted a flyer, they wanted a sticker, they wanted the phone number, and they have it on their classroom door now. They have it on their whiteboard. Right. So Zeke, champions like Zeke has really brought out the fact that it's okay. It's okay because it is part of your health. Your mental health is part of your health. And ABC National has a program called Total Human Health now. Right. And that talks about going beyond just having PPE on or climbing a ladder safely or plugging an extension cord correctly. It goes beyond that. It's how is your day? What is going on at home that might affect you? Because if you're doing something out here that is very, very risky and you have a lot up here going on, now we're putting not just you at risk, but somebody else. Right. And so we just had a safety breakfast in July. Zeke was one of the panelists on there. Very passionate again. We spoke about that, talked about the total human health aspect. And I plan on keeping this in as long as he's willing and we have other champions like him. Yeah. I don't want to volunteer you, but as long as he's willing and we have other champions that come on board.
As long as there's food.
We'll continue to spread the message. We got the next round of our students at CMEF, I think, need to hear the same message. We gotta get it out there because I love the shift from let's not talk about it because it means I'm weak to, hey, this is something that's very, very important. Yeah. And let's discuss it. Let's make sure we're all okay. And you're not a lesser person for addressing something like this.
Awesome.
Hey, tying it all together quickly and just sort of in a lighthearted note, doing those talks at CMEF, I actually ended up hiring somebody. He's talking about workforce development.
That's so cool.
A young man came up and talked to me. Hey, it's really good to talk to you about Apache. Are you guys hiring? Yeah, let's talk. And he works for us.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
So there you go. Full circle moment. Yeah,
that's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, so pretty cool deal. Anyway.
Zeke, anything before we close up?
I'm good, man. Thank you for the shout out. And yeah, happy to do it. I think, ABC providing that platform has allowed me to, encourage, and I actually had a call with the mental health champions yesterday. So across the country. So it's been really, really encouraging, I guess is the right word. And my company's certainly backing it, but ABC pushing it across the country and getting the word out and just saying, hey, let's start talking about this. It is a part of health and safety, not something special in May or June, but it's so glad to hear it and appreciate all the shout outs.
Michael, you live a life of service, man. It just eludes from you. And I love that about you. Probably the second best dressed guy that goes to the ABC meetings. So,
I'm always second place to you, Jason.
I think I have you by, you got me by an inch, but
so not today.
Oh boy.
Don't go there.
Oh boy.
I'm just kidding, man. You got me beat. But we do value, you're fantastic. You've been a huge gift to me as I've grown in the organization, just learning and experience and being around you. So thank you for all that you continue to do.
Thank you.
And to our audience, we want to thank you for tuning in as you always do, your loyalty and commitment to the show. We also would ask you to, if you're in construction and or maybe you serve the construction industry and you're already involved with Economic Alliance, take time out to go explore the Association of Builders and Contractors. It's a great organization. I've been a member for 6 years now. Yeah. It's been huge for me to help me understand the industry, and they do phenomenal work. And it's an opportunity to give back and get plugged in and get involved. And that's what this region really represents. It's about service, being plugged in community. And that's what I'm so excited about when, and hopefully the show can come out and exhibit that. So we would ask you, as always, to pay it forward. So take this episode, share it with somebody who needs to know, share it with some young kid who's trying to figure out what he wants to do with his career, and let them know that there's paths and directions where they can go. So if you got somebody in your family and they're not sure, get them involved with the craft labor industry. It's a great opportunity. And then, as always, you can give me and Zeke feedback. You can send us guests or people who might be interested in joining the show. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you. Jason Lee and Zeke Smith. Yep. And other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.